It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston. This is Brian Beatty, host of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. So the question is this: where can you go to find reliable, trustworthy information about the real estate market and the process of buying, selling, and investing in real estate that isn't skewed by a real estate agent that wants you to think a certain way in order to earn your business, or by some freelance journalist that writes an article for entertainment value rather than educational value? The answer is right here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show, the show designed to peel back the curtain on the real estate industry so that you as the consumer are informed and better understand the real estate process. So thanks so much for tuning in this morning. We have got an hour ahead of us of real estate discussion. This is a show designed to help you better understand the real estate process. I share my experiences as somebody that's been in this market for the past 12 years. I've sold about 1,000 properties here in the Charleston area to the tune of $500 million. And I share those stories with you. I share my insight with you. I review local, regional, national news, again, to help you become more informed. Now, I'm in the studio this morning. I am taking your calls. So if you have a question, a comment, if there's something I mentioned that you'd like to share a story on or just learn more about, feel free to give us a call here in the studio. The number here is 843-556-1250. Again, that's 843-556-1250. Now, if you want to reach out to me personally, you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, and you'd like to have an off-air discussion with me, my cell phone number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 345-1273. Or you can visit my website, which we've just redone. Looks great. Very proud of it. listingsincharleston.com. All kinds of awesome features on there. Here's what I want to talk about over the course of the next hour. I first want to focus on a lot of the incentives and the guarantees in our industry that so many agents are offering. You know, why are so many people offering them? Are they necessary at this point to earn your business? And what are you actually agreeing to in fine print? I want to talk about that for a while. I'd love to take some calls on that topic specifically because I want to know what motivates you to hire a real estate agent? Is it the incentive that you receive? Is it the ability to get back some of the commission? How does that, play into your decision-making process? Again, 843-556-1250 is the number here in the studio. I'd love to hear some opinions on this. And then later in the program, we're going to talk about the market. And I've had a lot of questions this week, a larger number of questions than normal, the majority of which are just kind of general knowledge questions from this radio program. And so I want to answer a few of those questions because I think they're informative. They're things that you should know. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the fact that, it's summer right now, and it's a good time to sell your house. But if you've had your home on the market for several months and it hasn't sold, and now you're taking the home off the market to regroup and figure out what to do, what is the difference between these homes that seem to list and sell in a day versus the homes that list and don't sell and they've been on the market for 3 or 4 months? We're going to talk about that as well. So again, the number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. So let's talk about these incentives and guarantees in our industry and why so many people are offering them. And it's really for a few different reasons. First of all, real estate agents obviously want to offer you incentives to get you off the fence. If you're in a position to buy or sell, yet you're not that motivated, perhaps an incentive is going to be what's necessary to kind of push you over the edge and say, okay, let's do this. And so you see a bunch of different companies and agents doing this in several different ways. I've always found, however, that if you're not truly motivated to buy or sell, then it's going to be a challenging process for you. Let's say you're a buyer and you're just not that motivated to purchase something right now. But an agent said, hey, you work with me and I'll give you some of your commission back in the form of a rebate. Sounds great. And so here's typically what happens. You start to get a little bit excited about your interest in buying a home. You're kind of excited about the prospect of living in a new space, but you don't have to go anywhere. Nothing's pushing you out of your home. You're not relocating for a job. Your family isn't growing in size. You're not even making an exorbitant amount of money, more than what you were when you bought the house you live in now. But agents have convinced you that, hey, you can get this if you were willing to move. Here's what the payment would be on this home versus the home you currently live in. It's just a little bit more. It could be a lifestyle upgrade. And so you say, you know what? You're right. Okay, let's think about this. And so here's typically what happens. And here is what has changed so much in our industry. It used to be that when you wanted to buy a house, you went to a real estate agent. They had access to the MLS, and they provided you with options. You didn't have access to this, online world full of opportunity for you. You had to go through a real estate agent. They were the gatekeeper of information. Whereas now, so many agents out there are basically being told what to do by buyers. They're not searching for properties for buyers anymore. They're just waiting for the buyer to say, hey, I want to go out on Saturday, and here are the 5 homes that I want to see. And the agent says, okay, great. And so now they're just kind of following directions from the buyer. Wouldn't it be nice if, in addition to all of the information you guys have access to when you're looking online, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, all these different websites, whatever the case might be, wouldn't it be nice if the agent also was searching for properties on your behalf? See, what's happened is we've become a very reactive industry. We're waiting for you to tell us what to do. On my team, we're very different. Yes, well, of course, we allow you to search the any website you want to try and find a property, but we also want to be searching proactively for you. So when we set up our search in the MLS, because you say, hey, Brian, I'm looking for a home between $300,000 and $400,000 with at least 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths on a 1/4 acre with a fenced yard. And we put in those search parameters on the MLS, and then each time a new listing hits the market, you receive an email update saying, here are today's new listings. Well, it's very much a set it and forget it approach in our industry these days. What we like to do, of course, is not just look at what's on the MLS, but we have a huge list of off-market properties. And that is one of our incentives. It's not an incentive to inspire you, per se, into action, nor is it one of these kind of bait-and-switch offers that you hear so much of. We have a list of off-market properties, meaning these sellers will sell their house, and they'll sell it for a fair price. They just don't want to go through the process of having it on the MLS and having everybody under the sun start to look at their house. They just want to sell it. They're truly not that motivated. They're fair about it, but they're not that motivated. So you've got that on the seller side, and on the buyer side, it could be the same thing. We have a list of all these buyers that say, yeah, if the right house comes along, I'll buy it. And that's a mixture of investors, people that want second homes, and then people that would buy it, and they're either in a lease right now, and we've worked out some sort of lease buyout program with them, which is another incentive we have on our team. If you're thinking of purchasing a home and you're stuck in a lease, we'll help negotiate you out of it. We might even make some lease payments for you. It's going to depend on the numbers, but we will help get you out of your lease and into a new home, because we do believe that timing is important. And in some of these markets that we're in here in Charleston, which we're going to go through a little bit later on in this program, prices continue to go up at a fairly rapid pace. Now, there are also some areas of our market in which prices have flatlined. I mean, they are not rising at the level that we're used to. I mean, and they're in some areas of Mount Pleasant are seeing it. And I think everybody looks at Mount Pleasant as being slightly different than the rest of our market. It's kind of like the crown jewel of the market to some people. Not the case. There's certainly a lovely variety of properties in Mount Pleasant, but there are also areas in which the area or the price range or the location, it's not a seller's market anymore. It's a normal market approaching a buyer's market. So you couple that with increased interest rates and some of the other things we're seeing happening in this market. And the reason why so many companies are offering incentives is, again, to inspire you into action or, of course, to be used as a competitive advantage. And so you've got some of these companies that, I mean, you guys have all seen whether it's in this market or somewhere else, that, hey, if I can't sell your house, I'll buy it. Your home sold guaranteed. And if you have talked to anybody that's, actually looked into this program or has received one of these offers, you know that it's 25, 30, 35% off fair market value. It's because it's a collection of investors that want to buy it, renovate it, flip it, make a bunch of money, and move on to the next one. And good for them. It's a business strategy. I flip properties too. I'm not taking advantage of people. I'm not being opportunistic to someone else's detriment. I believe in a win-win situation. I'll help them sell their home, and they'll help me by selling it at a price that allows us to make some money. So I have aligned myself with a group of investors, and I'm very excited about this because this is legit, folks. It's awesome, actually. These investors want to buy 1,000 houses this year. And I don't mind telling you that the investors want to purchase property for between 12 and 15% below fair market value. Okay, we're not talking 25, 30, 50 cents on the dollar. They want 12 to 15% off of fair market value. And they're going to buy it. They're going to put a renter in there. And all they want is a 6% return on their investment. They're sticking these properties into a real estate investment trust, giving their investors a 6% return on their investment. It's a very fair offer, and it's a cash deal, and it's as much as as fast as a 10-day close if you want. But 12 to 15% off fair market value is what my guaranteed sale incentive offers. And if that's something you'd like to learn more about, go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Oh, of course, give me a call, 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. If you want to call into the studio, you've got a question, you want to comment on something that we've just discussed or anything real estate related at all, the number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. 1250 WTMA. Now, the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues on Charleston's Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston, to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. I always like to give you guys a shout out for tuning in and for absorbing this information. This show really is designed to help you learn more and know more about the real estate market so that you're an informed consumer. You know the right questions to ask. And for those of you that listened to my show last week, and you know how passionate I am about giving you correct information that you can utilize in your upcoming real estate transaction, whether you're buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So thank you for tuning in. Thank you to those of you that call off air and either ask your questions of me, which I'm always happy to answer, or entrust me with your business. And if you'd like to do that, my number is 843-345-1273. That's my cell phone. You can call or text that number. Again, it's 843-345-1273. Or my website, listingsincharleston.com. Listingsincharleston.com. So, again, I'm in the studio taking your calls. Would love to hear from some folks with some questions about real estate. Doesn't necessarily have to be on a topic that I'm on right now. Maybe you have a question, a general comment, a story you'd like to share. The number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. 843-556-1250. So let's talk about the real estate market, give you guys a bit of an update here. And so, with summer being here, it means it's the high season for real estate. And if you've been thinking about selling your house, you might be in for a little bit of a golden moment here. And I'm going to tell you why. But, just like with everything else, good things don't last long. And so let me kind of explain why with a few details of our current real estate market. And so right now, homes are actually selling in record time. In this past May, nationally, it took 34 days for a house to go under contract, and that broke last year's record of 36 days. Now, in the Charleston market, it takes us a little bit longer to sell properties. We're selling them on average in 55 days, which is down from 58 days last year. But when we look at prices, which is where everybody likes to focus all their time and attention, home prices are also continuing to rise. In fact, they've been rising for 6 straight years nationally. And for the past 2 years, by the way, it's been kind of accelerating. Now, in the Charleston market, if you look at our median sales price right now, I think it's sitting at like $363,000, which is up about 6% compared to last year's median sales price of about $340,000. So, as a consequence of all of this, about 28% of the homes that sold in May nationally sold above their asking price, which is incredible. How much our market has shifted over the course of a decade. Now, maybe you have a story you'd like to share about how the market was for you several years ago, and maybe you're in the market or were just in the market, and you want to draw some corollary between the two. You know, the number here in the studio, 843-556-1250. So you've got all these homes that are selling for above the asking price. Now, in Charleston, we're getting 96.7% of the original asking price, which is up from 96.5 from last year. There's not really any big change there. But all of this is due to a woefully short supply of homes in our market. I mean, in fact, if you look at our total supply of homes available for sale, it's a little over 5% lower this year than it was the same time last year nationally. But this is what's crazy. In the Charleston market, our monthly supply of inventory currently sits at a little over 3 months, which represents an extreme seller's market. I mean, year to date, our local inventory is down 15% compared to the same amount of time in 2017. In fact, we have barely 2 months supply of inventory for homes priced under $300,000. And that's down 20% compared to 2017. This is what's causing prices to go crazy in some areas. I mean, if you look at, and I've got a sheet pulled up right here because I'm a student of the market and I always like knowing what's going on. And if you've listened to this program, you know I love my numbers. But if you look at the inventory of homes for sale, $100,000 to $150,000 in June, we are down 31% in terms of inventory. 100 to 150,000 down 30%. 150 to 200 down 30%. 200 to 300 we're down 13.3%, and then 300,000 and above we're down 3%. But my God, the inventory just continues to shrink, and it's creating challenges for buyers, real challenges for buyers. It's actually impacting sellers as well. And so here's kind of what's happening. As prices continue to increase, affordability becomes a challenge for first-time home buyers. You couple that, of course, with increased interest rates, and now you're in a situation where that potential buyer just is going to continue to rent. They're not going to buy right now. They're going to save up a little more money. But regardless, the market is not increasing at the same rate as incomes. You know, I mean, all of the above stuff that I was reading to you guys is great news, but I do think that the real estate market is kind of on the cusp of a change. I mean, for one thing, we have mortgage rates that have been rising, and now they stand near their highest level in 7 years. And that's one of the reasons why pending home sales are down, you know, as of April. But the question really is what's going on? And I think the answer is that the home surge, or the home pricing surge, is kind of nearing its end. I mean, overall, home affordability is dropping. I mean, over the past 6 years, it's been a 48% increase in the average home price nationally. Wages have only gone up 14%. And so it's the market that's constricting and creating more demand, which is then, of course, leading to higher prices. So if you decide to sell right now, I think you're going to have an easier time of it than if you were going to wait. That's because demand and prices are both still high. But if you decide to wait, I'm not here to say that things are going to go south quickly, because I still think we have several months before this becomes news, before this kind of writing on this wall or this trend that I'm seeing in the industry becomes recognized by the general public. And just, you guys are going to know about it about 6 months after it happens. That's basically the way this works, unless, of course, you listen to my show. But that's what's going on, guys, is that we are getting people that can't enter the market as a first-time home buyer, which prevents the first-time home seller from selling their house and moving up into a more expensive home, which then impacts the middle-of-the-road home buyer and home seller that don't necessarily want to buy a home and have a gigantic mortgage payment. It's not like you're going from a $200,000 house to a $400,000 house to an $800,000 house. You might have someone that goes from a $400,000 house to a $500,000 house because they're moving from West Ashley to Mount Pleasant. And it's a lifestyle change for them. So if first-time home buyers can't get into the market to help first-time home sellers sell their home, which would help the person that lives in that kind of middle-of-the-road price range home to sell their home and make a lateral move, that's really what's going on here, is this kind of domino effect of people that don't see enough inventory in order to make sense out of proactively listing their home while waiting to buy something. Because that's the real challenge here. That's the real reason why you're not seeing inventory. Sellers don't want to put their house on the market and run the risk of selling it in 2 days without having found something they want to buy. So one of the ways that we combat this, one of the ways that we help people, is by learning more about the properties that are what we call shadow inventory. This could be for sale by owners. This could be, homeowners that tried selling their home over the course of the past few years and it just didn't work out. They still want to sell it. Maybe they just didn't find the right buyer. Maybe they were asking too much money at that point in time, and now the market's gotten better to kind of match what their overpriced listing was last year. So we have all these people that want to buy and sell. They just they're not active in the market. Nothing's pushing them out of the house. Nothing's inspiring them to move right now. But if the right deal came along, the right buyer, the right seller, yeah, absolutely, they would do it. And so we only reserve that list of folks for our clients, obviously. That's something that only we have. It's a result of all of the conversations that we have on a daily basis on my team. And I've got 19 people on my team. And it's kind of crazy when you look at the numbers, but we have about 3,000 phone calls that go out of my real estate office every day. That's a lot of contacts. And so when you're speaking to that many people, yeah, you're going to run across some folks that want to buy or sell. They just don't want to go through the hassle of having their home on the MLS, blah, blah, blah. So if you'd like access to that information, you want to know what's going on off market, you're looking to buy a home right now, and you're just not really all that impressed with the options. Or you'd sell your home if someone brought you a buyer, but you're certainly not going to, put it on the MLS and go through the process of having, 36 people walk all over the place. If that's something you're interested in, please go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or give me a call or send me a text. That number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Now, again, we are still in the studio. We are taking your calls. We'd love the opportunity to speak with you about your real estate questions, comments, stories, concerns, complaints, any of those things. The number here in the studio, 843-556-1250. 556-1250. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to answer some general questions about the real estate market right here on the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Broadcast Saturday mornings at 9 and Sunday mornings at 10 on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. 1250 WTMA. Expert news and views on the Low Country real estate scene. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in this morning. We're taking your calls in the studio, all things real estate related. The number here, 843-556-1250. Again, that's 843-556-1250. Now, of course, if you'd like to reach me off air, you have a real estate question or you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, my number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 843-345-1273. Or you can go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. That's right, listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about several of my guarantees, my easy exit guarantee, my communication guarantee, my home sale guarantee. We have investors that want to buy homes. They're making you fair offers, 12 to 15% off fair market value, cash, quick close. It's the best deal out there. If you're in a lease and you want to buy a house, we'll help buy you out of it. We'll give you a free pre-listing inspection if you want to sell your home. Free staging, all kinds of crazy stuff that we offer in an effort to help you sell your home for more money or get a great deal on something to purchase. And so you're so happy that you refer us to all your friends and it makes us worthwhile. So listingsincharleston.com is the website. So I want to answer just some kind of general questions that I received throughout the week that I thought would make some good content, because some of you guys are probably in the same situation. And one of the questions I received was from a gentleman who said, I'm really struggling to determine how much my house is worth. I live in an area where there's nothing that really compares to my house. Yes, I've overbuilt for the area. I get it. But where do I go to find out how much my home is worth? Because Zillow is going to be worthless. Zillow's worthless to begin with, as it relates to his estimate. And we all know my feeling on that topic, because they know nothing about the inside of your house. They know nothing about the upgrades or the condition. They're just taking your, public data, your sales data from the MLS, county records, blah, blah, blah. They're comparing that using a bunch of algorithms to try and tell you how much your home is worth. Let's not go there this morning. Let's stay on topic. That's really just me giving myself a coaching speech right now, so I don't get too far off topic and start slamming Zillow. But let's go back to this question of, if there are very few comparable homes in your area, what do you do? And the reality of it is that this is a real challenge. The great thing about Charleston, in my opinion, well, one of the great things, is that we have so many different property types. We have oceanfront property, waterfront property, rural property, equestrian property, downtown lofts, historic. You name it, and we've got it for the most part. I can't think of a property type we don't have, except for really urban lofts and some of the things that you'd see in New York and Chicago. It's not like we have high rises with $14 million penthouses, but we've got these properties that are just a struggle to determine the value. So if you think your house is worth more than other homes in the neighborhood, because you've done more and there's just not a lot of, let's say you built a house and it's much larger than everything else in the area. A lot of the homes in the area, you've seen it driving around. They're kind of a bunch of brick ranches and homes that have been around since the 60s and 70s. And then you've got this really nice elevated home tucked away on an acre, and it's in no way, shape, or form the same as the homes in the surrounding area. Homes maintain their value better if the neighboring properties are fairly similar. Now, they say that the smallest home in a really nice neighborhood is going to receive more perks than the nicest home in a neighborhood of smaller, less attractive homes. And that is certainly the case, and I can attest to that. I've seen it time and time again. But in your situation, when you're looking to determine the fair market value for your house, you're going to want to talk to several real estate agents, get their opinions, and come up with some sort of consensus. Without knowing why there are no comparable properties in your area, it's difficult to give another suggestion, really. But if your lot or your home is over improved for the area, that means the value will most likely not be what you think it is. And that's just kind of the truth. If your home is much larger, you're not going to get the same cost per square foot as other homes in the area. So I'd talk to a bunch of real estate agents. I would get their opinions. On this particular one, I would not recommend getting an appraiser, even though a lot of folks recommend this. And there are plenty of times in which I get appraisers involved in pricing properties. But when there's a lack of data available, then what you're really asking the appraiser to do is to determine fair market value rather than justify a price. And, an appraisal by its very definition is an opinion of value. But you have all these, real estate agents and all these folks that have been kind of coached to look at the homes that are comparable to yours and just kind of average out the price per square foot. That is not how to price a property. And I've told you guys that time and time again on this program. I know that, it's easy to look at price per square foot if, let's say you're in a new construction neighborhood and all the homes are fairly similar. In that instance, yeah, it's going to give you a good ballpark. But the truly effective way to price a property is to look at all of the characteristics of both the lot and the house and make individual adjustments to the comparable properties to determine where your home lies in relation to that comparative value. And it's a process. It's something you have to learn. All these agents that have just joined the business, they just don't have the experience when it comes to pricing a property. And if you live in an area where you have hardly any comps available for sale and you really are seeking an opinion of value because you can't justify it through comps, then you really need to be working with a real estate agent that understands pricing and that gets the pricing right more often than not. And so a great question for you to ask as a seller is, what percentage off of asking price do you sell your listings for? On my team, it's 98.5%. And I want you guys to understand this too. That doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing all of these crazy things to sell homes for more money. We do offer plenty of incentives, and our marketing strategy is awesome, and it works. 30% of the listings we sell in a week or less, and we've done 1,000 transactions, folks, but we're effective at pricing properties, not kind of leading you to believe that we're doing all of these secret things behind the scenes that create thousands of dollars in value for you. Real estate agents, and I believe this to be true, there are very few things that a real estate agent can do to sell your home for more money. It is a strategy and a marketing effort that will help you sell your home faster and for more money, but it's also pricing it correctly. Because if you're on the market for, let's say, 90 days and you've had some price reductions and it hasn't sold yet, and a buyer comes along, that buyer knows that you don't have very many options on the table. It's not like this is a brand new listing and you're struggling with the one in the hand versus two in the bush mentality. If someone comes along and, you've been on the market for 4 months, the buyer's going to be fairly confident that they're the only person at the table interested in your home, and they're going to use that to their advantage to negotiate your price down. Because the old adage is, hey, look, if your home was worth what you were asking, it would have sold by now. It's a great seller's market, right? Right. So why hasn't your home sold? So here's my offer, and let's see if you'll take that. That's why pricing is so important. So anyways, getting back to this whole question of how do I price a home in an area in which no comps exist, really the answer is to seek the guidance of a professional real estate agent, somebody that's been in this business a long time, that has had success in selling unique properties, of which we have several of here in the Charleston market, and see what they think. I will be honest, though, it's going to be a little bit of a guessing game. We're going to make an educated guess as to what we believe your property will sell for in a reasonable amount of time. And people look at price reductions so negatively these days that in some instances it prevents the seller from making the decision necessary to move forward with a price correction in order to sell their house. And I want to talk about that next, but we've got, maybe 15 minutes or so left here on the program. If you want to call in, if you've got a real estate question or comment or story, you want to learn more about a specific topic, the number here in the studio is 843-556-1250. Again, 843-556-1250. Stick around, Charleston. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA. 1250 WTMA. Now, here's more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA.
Welcome back, Charleston. Thanks again for tuning in to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. About 10 minutes left on the program. If you have a question, real estate related, you want to learn more about a topic, no question is too silly, too generic, or you can try and stump the expert here. The number here in the studio, 843-556-1250. 843-556-1250 is the number to be on the program. Now, if you'd like to reach out to me individually off air, you've got a real estate question, or you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing, my number is 843-345-1273. Again, that's 345-1273. Or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about my free pre-listing home inspection, our free staging consultation, home sale guarantee, lease buyout program, guaranteed 6-year lease, all kinds of fun stuff. Listingsincharleston.com. So let me get back to some of these questions that were asked of me a little earlier this week that I thought would make for some good content for you guys. And somebody asked me, where can I get information on the asking prices of properties that have sold during the last 6 months? I found a bunch of information on the selling prices and would like to compare them to the asking prices. And really, the only place I can think of where you can obtain this is the MLS. I don't know of other sites that offer the original asking price, other than maybe Zillow. I'd have to look at it to see if they do a good enough job of tracking the pricing history and whether you can determine what the original asking price was. But obviously, for that, you need to be a member. You be a real estate agent. But really, the only reason that you would want that would be to determine, or I'm assuming the reason that you would want that information would be to determine how high you can list your property and still receive a fair offer to negotiate. And so I want to talk about that for just a second. The best strategy for negotiating is to not negotiate, which sounds a little silly, I'm assuming, for those of you that are listening right now. But think about it. If you're in a seller's market, and if there is very little inventory, and you set a price that you know is fair, you know it's worth it, you know a buyer's going to pay it, why negotiate? Why do it? Well, it's going to be a matter of motivation. If you don't have to move, you have the ability to wait. If, on the other hand, somebody comes in and they make you a cash offer and it's $1,000 off your asking price, I'm going to go ahead and encourage you to take that money and run to the bank, because that's a good deal. But, what I see happening a lot in this market is, especially as we have more and more and more agents entering this market that are inexperienced, nothing against them. Everybody has the right to sell real estate. I'm not here to bash new agents. But the challenge is, there are 7,000 agents in our market and 5,000 homes available for sale. We've got 2,000 agents more than we do properties. And so you take all these extra agents that are doing an extra deal or two. They've got a family friend that wants to buy a property, and so they use that agent. Or their brother's friend's cousin is now licensed part-time and works at Boeing the other 40 hours a week, and he can help you buy a house. Well, the challenge is if we're looking at 20,000 sales or so as a market throughout the course of the year, and those are rough numbers, and you've got 2,000 agents that are doing 2 deals a year, that has now accounted for 20% of our market. It's a significant reduction in market share for the real estate agents that have been around for a long time. That's the profound impact. And so, and the reason I'm tying this all in is because you see all of these properties that sell in a matter of days. More often than not, those are the ones that are being listed by the experienced real estate agents. And then on the other side of the table, you've got all these homes that are on the market for months and months and months. Usually, those are listed by the inexperienced agents. Now, of course, there are some properties that are just challenging to sell and they take a little bit of time, and I get that. I'm not putting down new agents. However, sellers in this market should be able to sell their home quickly and for top dollar. It takes the right marketing plan. It takes planning as it relates to the condition of your home. And of course, pricing strategy and exposure. How are we going to find buyers? How are we going to make them aware of your property? What are we saying about the property that edifies it and that creates awareness, that highlights the natural features of your home and inspires somebody to want to buy it and live there? Those are all the things that you think about when you're hiring a real estate agent, is how are they going to help me? What is it they're going to do above just putting it on the MLS and waiting for other agents to show my house? What is it that they actually bring to the table? And so we have all these agents that are putting properties on the market because listings are so scarce. They're so hard to come by these days. I mean, I know my listing inventory is down. It's just a result of the market. There were points in time where I would have 70 or so listings at once, and we're at less than half that right now. There just aren't that many listings out there. So you've got agents that'll say, "Hey, I want a listing. Doesn't really matter what the price is. I just need to get that sign in the yard, because if I get that sign in the yard, people are going to call on it. And if the house sells, great. Probably not going to sell at this price, but that's all right. Maybe the seller will become more motivated while we have it on the market, and then they'll get realistic with their price. And in the meantime, I can find some buyers that want to buy homes. Maybe not this home, but I can help them buy something else." So that's the kind of mentality of agents in this market right now. Or it's just because agents don't know how to price a property. And so they look again at price per square foot, and they take a 1-hour training course at their brokerage on pricing, and now they're a pricing expert. So, kind of goes back to what we were saying last segment about these homes that are in areas that are challenging to price a property in. You've got a bit of a unique property. How do you price it effectively? You need to rely on the experience of a real estate agent that has seen this time and time again, that has sold these types of properties. So I'm going to switch gears. I'm going to say one more thing here, which was a very interesting dialogue between a buyer and myself. And we don't represent them. They were just listening to the program. And she says, I have reason to believe that the seller's agent was not truthful about the opposing bids for a property I was interested in. I'm suspicious that he made up offers to drive up the price that I eventually offered. Do I have the right to demand proof of the opposing bids? Which is really interesting. And you hear about this happening. Now, we, as a market, did introduce an offer rejection form, which states that the offer was presented on such and such a date to the sellers. The sellers have either chosen to reject it without offering an invitation to counteroffer. So there's a counteroffer invitation, I guess, form, and then there is just a flat-out rejection. They're not interested in your offer. But the sellers and the agents do sign that now. That doesn't mean, however, that the listing agent wasn't making up quote-unquote fake offers to lead you to believe you're in a multiple offer situation so that you would offer more money. And as an agent or a seller, an agent or a seller is not obligated to divulge the details of a competing offer. You can ask for it in a counteroffer, but you're going to be taking on the risk of losing the property altogether. So if you feel like you were a victim of fraud, you should obviously consult an attorney and ask for his or her advice. But very rarely do we see agents just flat out lying about the existence or lack thereof of a competing offer. Having said that, if you're a buyer and you call off a sign and you don't have an agent that's representing you and you're relying on the listing agent to do that for you, then the best they can do for you is become a dual agent, wherein they're not really giving expert level service to either party. They're really more of a mediator. They're more of a go-between. So if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate, obviously you want your own representation. Feel free to give me a call at 843-345-1273 if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Again, that's 843-345-1273, or go to my website, listingsincharleston.com. Again, that's listingsincharleston.com. You can learn more about my incentives, my free pre-listing home inspection, staging consultation, home sold guaranteed program, and so much more. Listingsincharleston.com. And thanks for tuning in this morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-345-1273. 843-345-1273.